LEGO doesn't just hide Easter eggs in sets. Sometimes they hide secret messages in binary code, different languages, 3D paper, and more. So today, we're gonna find out just how sneaky LEGO is, starting with the secret message on LEGO's shipping boxes. If you've ever ordered something from LEGO online, you probably noticed that the box it comes in is very plain. And LEGO actually tells you why, but only if you look at the right part of the box. It says that they're plain because a lot of people buy gifts from LEGO, so they keep them plain to help keep the secret. I guess enough people got their Christmas spoiled that LEGO had to do something about it. But what about actual sets? The first one I'll talk about is the Slytherin House banner set from 2022. This one has a hidden compartment inside the banner, which by itself is already a cool detail. But if you actually look inside the compartment, there's a message written in there that says Tom Riddle was here. The coolest part though is that you can't see it from every angle. It's written on 3D paper, so if you don't look at it correctly, you won't see it at all. Since there aren't that many people who know Tom Riddle was Voldemort and that he was in Slytherin, it makes sense why LEGO hid it this way. But Harry Potter isn't the only theme where LEGO hid something like this. In the Wednesday and Enid's dorm room set from 2023, there's a small printed tile on a book spine that just says hide. At first, it looks like a random book title, but Hyde is actually the name for the creature alter ego of the show's main villain, Laurel Gates. So LEGO put a spoiler for the big villain of the show on the spine of a book. But since most people buying this set have seen the show, it probably didn't spoil that many people. Now, those are both pretty dark messages, but the one hiding in the corner garage modular set is a lot funnier. One of the shop windows says Dr. Jones Animal Care, no snakes. And this is actually a reference to Indiana Jones. Indy has a PhD in archaeology, so he is technically a doctor. But the important thing here is that he hates snakes, so of course he'd never let them in his vet clinic. But this next message is one of the weirdest ones ever. In the Ninjago City Garden set from 2021, there's a sticker that says A05 renovation, which sounds kind of weird, but we all probably looked right past it. But A05 is actually LEGO's internal retirement code. It's the code they give to pieces when they're about to be discontinued and pulled from future sets. I don't even know how people were able to figure this one out, but the weirder thing here is why the designers even did it. But designers also hide their own signatures in sets. In the Office set from 2022, there's a certificate of authenticity above the reception desk with 3 separate sets of initials, but only one of them is for the designer. The first one stands for Jai Jai Lewis, who made the set and passed LEGO's review on LEGO Ideas. Apparently, the other 2 sets are for the social media pages that helped him get 10,000 supporters, but I have no idea what they actually are. However, the most impressive designer signature is in the World Map set from 2021. Designer Fiorella Groves built the Chinese character Li, which is her middle name, into the Pacific Ocean. She only had 2 dimensions, 1x1 studs, and colors, and somehow she pulled off one of the best signatures in LEGO. She teased it in a designer video, but never said what it was or where it was, but fans solved it in like 24 hours. So even though it was really cool, it was still pretty easy to find. Now, this next one isn't a direct message, but it's definitely intentional. The buildable C-3PO set from 2024 has exactly 1,138 pieces, and that number isn't random. It's a reference to THX-1138, George Lucas's first feature film, which became a recurring Easter egg hidden throughout Star Wars. If you thought this number was hard to recognize, wait until you see what's inside the X-Men X-Mansion set. The Danger Room is covered in stickers that look like weapon and equipment codes, but someone recognized that every single one is actually a reference. E13122 is Earth 13122, which is the LEGO Marvel Universe. E92131 is Earth 92131, the universe for the X-Men animated series. UX266 is Uncanny X-Men number 266, which is the issue where Gambit first showed up. And 141965 refers to X-Men number 141, which is the Days of Future Past storyline. It's definitely not the easiest thing to figure out, but you have to know a whole other language to recognize the message in the evolution of STEM set. Along the edge of the book, there are white tiles built as dots and dashes in Morse code, and they spell out STEM. It's physically built into the model, and even though the message isn't anything crazy, when else have you seen Morse code in LEGO? But it's not just sets. LEGO hides messages in video games too. In the LEGO Party video game, there's one hidden inside the Slide Hustle minigame. Players who found and decoded it got a weird sequence of characters, and entering that sequence unlocked the Galaxy Patrol minifigure in the game. This guy was clearly not easy to unlock. But speaking of things that are hard to find, Bionicle ran one of the longest secret message systems in LEGO history. From 2003 to 2010, every Bionicle canister and set packaging had a Kanoka code printed on it. You entered them on Bionicle.com, and they unlocked story content, games, and exclusive information about the Bionicle universe that you couldn't get anywhere else. To this day, people still talk about how crazy this was, but Bionicle references kept showing up way after the theme ended. In the Ninjago City Docks set from 2018, there are two maps inside the build. One shows the island of Ninjago, which makes total sense, obviously. But the other one shows Mata Nui, the island from Bionicle, and it's actually labeled in the Mandarin alphabet, which is Bionicle's own language. There's also a Bionicle reference hiding in the City Passenger Airplane set from 2020. One of the stickers shows a list of departures, and one of the destinations is VYN, which stands for Voya Nui, an island from Bionicle. But how do I know this? Because there's a second sticker showing a plane landing on that island. So these two are very obviously linked. But more recently, LEGO's own Instagram account hid a Bionicle message on their page. In a post about the retro phone set, the third slide showed the inside of the phone with red and green lights in the background. Literally no one thought anything of this except for one commenter who started digging into it to see what they could find. They noticed that the lights kind of looked like binary code, and after filling in the gaps covered by the speech bubble, they realized that they were right, and the message was the word Bionicle. Now, this probably means absolutely nothing for the theme, but it's cool to see that LEGO's still keeping the name alive. However, this isn't the only time LEGO hid a message with binary code. The official Ninjago promo poster for the 2014 rebooted season had what looked like binary code along the border. Fans decoded it and it spelled Nindroid, which was the name of the android villain faction in that season. But the binary rabbit hole still goes deeper. The robot programmer minifigure from CMF Series 19 has binary code printed on the shirt, but the way you decode it matters. You have to translate it as an 8-bit binary into ASC2 to find the real message. And when you do, it spells LEGO. Usually when you're decoding binary, you only have to do it once, but thanks to this person on Reddit, we found out it actually had 2 layers. But the most personal hidden messages in this video are in the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga video game. When a character gets introduced, their name shows up on screen in English, with Aurebesh text underneath. But these aren't just translations of their names. Every single one is a joke. Darth Vader says loves the dark side, hates sand. Kylo Ren says serious daddy issues. Count Dooku says never loses his head. Palpatine says also known as the Senate. Jango Fett says donor for the clone army, which is crazy. And Darth Maul says red dude with a bad attitude. Out of all the Easter eggs in the Skywalker Saga, these are by far the funniest. But this next secret message had some Minecraft fans pretty confused. The end battle set came with a brick that had a really long code on it, and some people on Reddit genuinely didn't know what they were looking at. What they didn't know was that this was a redeemable code for Minecraft Bedrock, which gave you the minifigure in the set as a skin in-game. Now, these messages are sick, but did you know that LEGO even hides them using ancient languages? They mainly use hieroglyphs and runes, so I'll start with runes. The Heroica fantasy board games come with a shield piece covered in runic writing. And unlike a lot of fantasy-looking LEGO scripts that are just decoration, this one actually says something. If you decode it, it spells Heroica 3 times. Not very special. But there's a Harry Potter rune tile that hides something a lot more specific. The main inscription says Lego, and the smaller writing says Leg Godt, which translates to play well. For anyone who doesn't know, Leg Godt is the Danish phrase that Lego's name originally came from, and for some reason they decided to hide it in runes in a Harry Potter set. It makes absolutely no sense, but in the Mines of Moria set from the Lord of the Rings, the inscription on Balin's tomb isn't random. It uses Tolkien dwarvish runes and matches the real tomb inscription from the Fellowship of the Ring. So if you know Tolkien's rune system, you can read it. It's one of the more accurate pieces of ancient writing Lego has ever put in a set, but this same one has 2 more runic messages, one of which is above one of the doors, and this one is very different. If you read it using the Dwarf Runes keyboard layout instead of Tolkien's actual rune values, it says Diordi was here. Basically, someone on the design team left their own name hidden in the Mines of Moria in Dwarf Runes, and made it pretty difficult to decode. But the third message is a smaller inscription that says Orcs, with a tally mark next to it. Moria doesn't just have serious lore, it also has what looks like a kill counter for orcs. That's pretty much it for runes, so now it's time for hieroglyphs. The LEGO Adventurers Egypt set used real-looking hieroglyphs in a lot of their sets. Most of them don't seem to say anything in particular, but there's one set that might say KHNWM, which could be an attempt at spelling Khnum, an Egyptian god. The article that found this says it's either a coincidence or a typo, so there's no real way to be sure. But Pharaoh's Quest had one of LEGO's most creative hidden messages. The hieroglyphs were redesigned, so every symbol was an object from LEGO. LEGO even released a decoder for the system, and the whole thing was built around a fan puzzle that unlocked Professor Archibald Hale's diary on a special website. This entire thing has so much lore and is so complicated that it's honestly hard to follow. But in 2015, the Scooby-Doo Mummy Museum mystery set showed up with the same exact LEGO-ified hieroglyphs from Pharaoh's Quest. LEGO just took the entire fake ancient writing system from one theme and reused it in a completely different one 4 years later. You'd think this would be it, but it happened again in the 2020 Haunted House set, which already had a bunch of Adventurers references in it. One of the obelisks in the set uses one of the same hieroglyphic inscriptions. This one at least makes sense, since this language was in Adventurers first, but the newer Indiana Jones sets take a different approach, hiding actual movie references in the hieroglyphs. In the Escape from the Lost Tomb set, the hieroglyphs have the famous C-3PO and R2-D2 carvings from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the Sankara stones from the Temple of Doom with a crystal skull. Now, obviously, these aren't based on real hieroglyphs, so it's just kind of a fun reference. But the Pyramid of Giza set was not messing around. The set includes a name plaque in hieroglyphs that says Akhet Khufu, which means the horizon of Khufu. And this isn't just a guess. The person who wrote this article knows a lot about ancient languages, and according to them, this is exactly how this name would be written in ancient Egypt. So shout out LEGO for being super accurate. They actually like hieroglyphs more than you think, because they made a line of buildable pens called the LEGO Writing System, and one of them was hieroglyph themed. It came with an alphabet decoder sheet, so kids could write in the system. Real Egyptian hieroglyphs don't actually work as a simple alphabet, but LEGO turned them into one anyway, and packaged it as a puzzle. It's not 100% accurate like the one in the Giza set, but it's still really sick. But which secret message in this video surprised you the most? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.